Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. Uneducated Network presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, featuring my boy, Brian Wilkerson, host of Base on Balls, our baseball show on Uneducated Network. Look, guys, we're here for, what is this, week 6 now? Week 6 of our casual football playoff talk, all that good stuff, man. But just our casual football talk. And we got a shakeup. Crazy shakeup going on in the top 10. So B-Dub, before we get to our talk of college football, let's talk about.
All right, let's roll it out. 10, top 10. Alabama number 1, Clemson number 2. Penn State jumps up to number 3. University of Georgia sitting in there at the number 4 spot pretty comfortably. Washington at 5. TCU jumps up a couple of spots to 6. Wisconsin quietly moving forward in that 7 spot there. Washington State now number 8 into the top 10 this week. Crazy. Ohio State still hanging around there at number 9, and Auburn also has jumped up into the top 10, took that number 10 spot. All right, Carlos, how you feel, brother?
Well, in our college football casual talk, I don't know why I keep messing the name up. I don't know why. I just say the playoffs just gets to me anyways. What stands out to me is I'm actually shocked. Now, we can't tell how things are going to go towards the end of the year, but right now I'm shocked that Penn State is 3 and Georgia is 4. Based on strength of schedule as of right now, I would probably, it's crazy, but because I'm still, spoiler alert, putting Penn State at 3 above Georgia, but I'm finding it kind of funny how people are actually putting Penn State over Georgia, even though I think Georgia's resume is a little better, but I can still understand why. I mean, Penn State, they go ahead and they beat Iowa team, which is probably their toughest competition. Even
so far this season,
on the road,
sure.
And I understand Iowa is still a great Big Ten team or opponent.
Yeah.
But Georgia goes in and beats Notre Dame, and Georgia smacked the Mississippi State which was ranked there at one time, and Georgia was just molly-whopping everybody. And who did Penn State play this week? Last week?
Northwestern,
and they went 31-7. And it wasn't really. It was tough,
win.
but it's still a big win.
That's 3 plus. That's 3 plus scores.
And you're on the road, so that's cool too. But I'm like, I would take Georgia's resume, but I don't blame them for putting Penn State at 3. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's going to balance out anyways.
I think at this point, the SEC East is kind of equatable to the Big Ten.
Right.
So but I mean, Penn State's obviously, their closest game was Iowa. That was their toughest game.
Right.
Otherwise, they've been, kind of just sweeping everybody under the rug generally as a kind of thing. Georgia's been doing the same thing too. I think Georgia's a little bit more of a complete team, but a little respect to the Big Ten champions from last year. Put them in at number 3.
That is true.
So that's I'm cool with that.
I'm looking at Georgia winning 41-0 in Tennessee, like just annihilating all opponents, man, and make it look pretty easy. And
put up 40 in back-to-back weeks.
Exactly.
Well. So they did score 45 this past week in.
Also, I'm shocked. Washington State 6-0. I'm pretty sure, right?
Washington State 5-0.
Yeah, 5-0. So they had their first 4 games on the road, or was it first 5 games?
First 5 games at home. First 5 games at home.
So they're 6-0, right? It should be 6 then, because they have 5 that they just won on the road, right, against. Drum roll, please. Washington State. It doesn't matter. They're 6-0 right now. They're 6-0. But them being at number 8, I still don't give them a lot of credit right now. That's the funny thing, being in the top 10 and being at 8. When you get the luxury of having 5 straight home games, and yes, they play their schedule and they did it. And their best win was against, in my opinion, was a very good USC team. But now I'm starting to realize, it come to fruition, that USC is not that good. I'm just surprised Washington State's at 8. How you feel about Washington State?
I like it. Okay. I like seeing new things. My favorite thing about this week's rankings, there are 2 Pac-12 North teams in the top 10, and neither one of them are Oregon or USC.
I know, it's crazy.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I love it. In fact, the Pac-12 could very well come down to the Apple Cup this year. That's a crazy Washington State has not been good in a very long time, and all of a sudden Mike Leach comes in and makes a winning program out of Washington State. And, Chris Peterson doing his thing over at the University of Washington, and all of a sudden the Apple Cup is kind of an important game, not just for those 2 teams, but for everybody. The winner of that game could potentially go on to the playoff.
Right.
That's kind of nuts. That's kind of crazy. That's what we like about college football, when things start to get not normal, out of hand a little bit,
Right.
So this is fun. I like it.
I love Washington at 5. That Washington, Penn State, Georgia, it's going to come down to that.
That's tough,
You
man.
expect Alabama and Clemson to be the top 2. You kind of expect that. But those 3 teams, Penn State, Georgia, and Washington, that's going to be, say they do go undefeated towards the championship weekend. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness,
that's going to be a tough decision.
That's going to be crazy. And I'm going to really feel bad for that one team being left out. Say they all go undefeated towards the championship because they could lose in their championships. But that being said, I will feel bad for the team that's being left out if it's out of those 3 guys. Now, the season's still long. So, but I like Washington at 5. Washington is easily, they haven't had competition, to be honest, but they have annihilated
everybody away.
And what they should do. You know, some guys go in and they play to their opponents. Washington is not doing that. But I'll tell you a team who just did it this week. Our biggest upset of the week is Oklahoma Sooners at home, feeling good against Iowa State, and losing 38-31. And I do mind you that they were up, I think, 2 scores throughout the game, pretty much. And then somewhere in that second half, just exploded.
Iowa State was a fresh quarterback as well to play this game with. He has not started a game in his career. Just comes in and just like, it was like another day at the office. That was what it looked like. He did basically. I mean, Oklahoma was obviously up for most of the game, but I mean, for the most part, he kind of just had his way with Oklahoma's defense. Really, I mean, there was a big turnover problem in this game, but outside of that, I mean, especially when you consider going, this is your first game and you're playing number 3 opponent in the land. This is Iowa State's first win over a top 3 opponent in the last 70 years. By the way, they were 0-17 versus the top 3.
Good God! So 17.
Yeah.
I tell you this. On a shock factor 1 to 10, how shocked are you that Oklahoma does lose to the Iowa State team at home? 10 being you are the most shocked in the world. 1, you saw it coming a mile away.
Yeah. I would probably go with. You stole my question, by the way. I would probably go with. I'd probably put that on a 7 scale.
Okay.
Because like you said the other week, I'm not at all surprised to ever see a ranked Big 12 team lose. I was going to ask you, you talked about you're not surprised to see a ranked Big 12 team lose to another ranked Big 12 team, but how about an unranked team? Like,
I'm not surprised at that either.
But yeah, it's I was expecting OU to win, but them losing the Big 12, they just kind of these things kind of happen. Also, this is the 3rd season in a row that OU has lost to a 30-point underdog. So they kind of just do this. It's kind of their thing.
It's like every year.
Yeah.
The top team, whether one year was Baylor, one year it was Oklahoma, maybe Oklahoma State, they tend to lose to a bad Texas team, just all offense, no defense. And they tend to get in these shootouts. Now this one wasn't per se a shootout. Like you said, it was basically just sloppy play from Oklahoma. They shot themselves in the foot. It wasn't just bad defense. It was just sloppy play overall. And I can say 1 to 10, a 4. I'm not too shocked. It happens every year to a Big 12 team.
Yeah.
They lose to a team where they're on a roll. Now, this is more shocking because they're at home. But whether on the road or at home against the Big 12 competition where it's offense, I'm not surprised that they lose to lesser competition in their division. You go from beating Ohio State, who's looking pretty good now. Ohio State's in the top 10 at number 9, looking pretty good. Then that says, well, what does that say about Ohio State? What does it say about all these teams? What does it say about the Big 12 and all? The only unbeaten now is TCU, and you get a feeling they're going to bite the bullet soon at some point.
They had a close game versus West Virginia until about the 3rd quarter, and then they won it out.
So I'm pretty nervous about the Big 12 because TCU has to go undefeated for them to even be recognized to get in the top. Yeah, because I think OU is done. How do you feel about OU? Are they done, Oklahoma? I think they're done.
Unfortunately, I don't think they're done.
You don't think? Okay.
Not as of right now.
All right.
Pending the results of this game that we're fixing to talk about here in a minute, they could be done. But as of today, they're not done because they're just a brand name. They're one of those teams. There's teams in college football: Alabama, Clemson, USC, Ohio State. They're brand names.
Right.
Those guys, they have a lot more leeway than a lot of other teams do. Oklahoma is one of those teams. So with one loss, it's not
right.
It's not the grade.
The good thing is it's early. That's the good thing. It's still early. You can still consider this the early part of the season. So if you want to get that one loss out the way, get it done right now, and hopefully you can ride it out. Well, last week we had Team Carlos versus Team Brian. Team Brian had Michigan State. Team Carlos, I had Michigan. Obviously, Team Brian won in a crazy,
sloppy, nasty,
rainy, gritty, my type of football game. I love those kind of games.
This was a classic Big Ten football
game. It was. People don't like them kind of games, but I love it. I love it when there's just no offense going on. It's straight defense. It's raining. They're dropping footballs, and it's like, what are you doing out there? This game, in my opinion, would have been different if Spates was in the game. I think he could have done maybe 2 or 3 things differently. Maybe not throw the ball crazy. I don't care about the rain. You just don't throw the ball if it's in a bad situation. This is what it is.
Yeah.
But Michigan State, albeit, came into Ann Arbor and smashed them.
Did what they needed.
Yeah, they played it, and they got a victory. So now they're all with that one loss. So kudos to Michigan State. Team Brian got that. But now we want to talk about, staying on the OU track. Our next one, Team Brian versus Team Carlos for week 6. What is it? Week 7. We're week 7. We're week 7 now. Week 7, yeah. Well, our week 7 teams, I'm picking Oklahoma, and he's picking Texas in the Red River rivalry. He knows it, man.
Politically correct, it's the showdown, but screw that. It's the Red River rivalry. It's a rivalry.
Right.
Just be a certain, like, I'm tired of it. It's just I'm tired of people trying to make it soft. It's a rivalry. It's a rivalry.
Right.
It's not screw showdown. It's a rivalry. We don't like each other.
Why is Texas winning this game against Oklahoma?
Texas is winning this game against Oklahoma on defense.
Oh, okay.
On defense. Oklahoma played sloppy last game. Texas has a better defense than Iowa State does.
Right.
Texas actually played a very good defense, considering they brought in an offensive-minded head coach, and their defense has been above expectations for what I was expecting coming into the season. And their offense can hang.
Okay.
Just plain and simple. Texas offense, they have the quarterback and they have the weapons on the outside to make that happen. Texas can hang, and they can play defense with Oklahoma, and I hate to say it, but your boy Baker Mayfield is he's gonna screw something up. He's gonna throw a pick somewhere. He's gonna drop a football somewhere.
Not Baker.
And it's not gonna be good.
Here's why Oklahoma wins, in my opinion. One word. Well, I guess I'll say 2 words. They can't. They can't. You lose this, you have no credibility at all for the playoffs. I think that's the message that's going into their locker room right now. Guys, we can't lose this game. Therefore, we will not lose this game because we cannot. You lose back-to-back games against 2 unranked opponents because Texas is going there not ranked at all.
That is true.
After coming off a victory against, was it Kansas State? Double overtime last weekend, and a very good game, very entertaining game. But Texas, I do say this, they are a game. And I think Texas, they're the teams so far this year, they played to their opponents. We saw they hung in there with USC. And now I think they will hang there with Oklahoma. I believe they will. But I believe Oklahoma gets it done because they cannot afford to lose this game at all. I think the message is clear. Win this game, win in dominating fashion, which they will not win in dominating fashion. But
if they did?
If they do, they're looking pretty good again because, like you said, Texas is playing very good defense as of lately. But I like OU in here just because they cannot afford to lose this game. You lose this and it's over with. Like, season is done. I don't care what happens for the rest of the season. You can't come back. A Big 12 team not only can afford 1 loss, but they can't afford 2 losses.
No, they cannot afford 2 losses.
2 losses, they are done. And there's only a few teams. It's probably Oklahoma is the only team that might get a look with 2 losses, but it's not going
because that has happened before.
Yes, exactly.
Regardless, this is always one of my favorite games of the year.
Right.
This game is always good. Played in the Cotton Bowl, classic historic venue. It's always half orange, half red.
Right.
You just get excited, even though you're not an Oklahoma fan and you're not a Texas fan, dude. This is just one of those games that it's always fun. It's always
coming out
crazy.
to wire. It doesn't matter where you at. You could be number 1 seed and Texas could be just, or vice versa. Oklahoma could be just washed up and Texas could be number 1 seed, and it's always a close game. I've seen them plenty of games, and I love it, man. So, Team Brian is going for Texas. Team Carlos, I'm going for Oklahoma. Let's go, Team Los. They cannot afford to lose this game.
Let's go 3-0, baby. Let's make it 3-0. Let's go.
That's right. That being said, we talked OU and Iowa State. Let's talk Louisville, North Carolina State just for a second. Louisville, we know that this loss to North Carolina State, they lose 39-25 to a game Wolfpack team. Let's be honest. They go in there, they beat a depleted Florida State team, but I mean it's still a good win in their eyes. And they came in ranked for the first time in a while. So, and I think
they did get.
They're like 0-4 in the last 4 games, just being ranked. Just being ranked, So it's good to get this year at home. I'm pretty sure it was a nice, crazy crowd.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, his Heisman hopes are just dashed.
He did, man.
And they're dashed just from the loss alone. I mean, I understand he had 4 losses last year, but
he didn't look good in this one.
Exactly.
He did not look like Lamar Jackson in this game.
I feel bad for Louisville because they have no pieces around Lamar Jackson, but that's not my problem.
Yeah.
North Carolina State, ACC play. ACC, I believe, is one of the stronger divisions as of this year right now, probably the strongest, depending on who you're talking to. North Carolina State, 5-1. How do you see them for the remainder of the year? Because they still have to play Clemson, I believe, right?
Yeah, they do have to play Clemson, so... That is their one downfall. If they didn't have to play Clemson, they'd probably be in one of those New Year's Six bowls.
There you go.
That's not going to happen, though. They're going to lose to Clemson. They're going to take 2 losses, and they're going to get, a lesser bowl.
I'd say it is.
It's going to be a good season, which is a fantastic season for an NC State
ball
club. But, they're not fixing to come in here and cause any real big shakeups because they have to play Clemson, and Clemson is just...
That's a whole nother animal level. We want to talk about Clemson. Even though they had a 28-14 victory over... good God. Wake Forest, thank you. It felt like 56-0, but, Bryant went out for the third quarter, something like that, second quarter. Yeah, but they had it under control regardless what happened. So don't be fooled by the score. So I think that Clemson is headed above the best team in the ACC, and they might go undefeated this year, but you just never know. I mean, who thought Pitt would beat them last year?
Yeah, that's
true. In a crazy game. You just never know. Things like that happen all the time. So Louisville, they're kind of out of it now. The Lamar Jackson hype is pretty much dead, in my opinion. There's no Heisman back-to-back for him. It is what it is. North Carolina State, kudos to you. They're 5-1. Big winners over Florida State, big win over Louisville. Let's talk your favorite team right here, man. LSU, after that devastating loss to Troy, somehow Ed Orgeron had to get his guys, ready for this game because you're playing in Florida and you got to get this victory. For not only for his sake, but just for the psychological minds of LSU fans.
For your
the whole
sanity.
University.
For your sanity.
From top to bottom. 17-16. They got lucky with a missed PAT from Florida.
Was nasty.
It was hard. It was Shank City from the second he hit that football. But I want to hear your thoughts about this. Is it a good win, or let's see, is it a bad win, or I don't know how to explain this. Is it a good win or a bad win for you?
There's no such thing as a bad SEC win, but. It's not promising. It doesn't make me happy as an LSU fan. The most positive thing that happened in this game, and this is going to sound ridiculous, the most positive thing that happened in this game is that they stuck with Danny Etling for the entire game. They left him in for the whole game. Now they only let him throw 16 passes, which is devastating to me because LSU type of run game hasn't been working for years.
Right.
So. That's kind of a problem. I want to see more. I need to see more passing, more effective passing. He was 9 for 16, which efficiency-wise is a good-looking number. But I need him to be 23 of 30.
Right.
Because
I got you.
Winning 200 yards rushing is good. Okay, and rushing yards are your team's MO. But when you come into a season. And your athletic director says, we want to hire more offensive. We need a more offensive-minded team. And then you just fall flat the way that they have, and you only score 17 points. The defense has not been as good as it has been in the past. Credit, they are young, but at the same time, only giving up 16 points is good. But they looked vulnerable a little bit here and there. They looked vulnerable to the pass a lot, and they looked vulnerable out on the edge rushing, being a problem there as well. So it's a good win, a disappointing good win though, because we need to see more offense. They have to produce on offense. That's been the only problem with this team for the last 10 years is that everybody wants more offense, more points. And that's what they need to do because in the West now you got
the Joneses, man. Keep the Joneses. I think this is a good win in my opinion, just because any win, especially against Florida in Florida, that made it even better.
Yeah,
it was a tough SEC opponent on the road. You get the victory. I mean, that kind of washes away the sins of the Troy game a little bit, but at the same time, it made a lot of the LSU fans at ease for just that moment.
Just a minute.
But at the same time, this LSU team they just don't look good. They don't. And every year they come in about that 12, 13 rank, something like that, and there's promise for them. And this year it just came falling flat. They were flat. You get destroyed by Mississippi State, destroyed. And then that same team gets wallywhopped by Georgia.
They finally look like a football team this week.
Yeah,
again.
Then you
for the first time since week 1, they look like a football team.
It's a good win. I like the win, but is it gonna help you for the rest of your season though? I can see LSU losing 2, maybe 3 more games before the season's over with, and it might be consecutive. Kind of, that schedule gets very daunting for them.
But it does make you feel good looking forward, which we'll go ahead and do now, and we'll start with LSU. Auburn coming into Death Valley now. LSU coming off a big win on the road versus Florida. Auburn also coming off an equally big win at home versus an Ole Miss team where they simply just outscored them. That was 44-28.
Yes.
So that's a really good, solid home win for you there. Setting up a pretty big battle here in Death Valley because Auburn comes in ranked number 10, 5-1. LSU up 4-2, obviously unranked still. But how you feel about this game? Are you excited about this game?
I am because Auburn is in the top 10. Now they got beat by Clemson, and Clemson is whole nother animal, and they look bad getting beat by Clemson. But it was a top 15 matchup, so everyone thought it'd be a whole lot better than what it was. I'm smelling spoiler alert. Okay, so LSU can't win a championship. The SEC, they can't win the playoffs. They can't win their conference championship. We know that. But they can play spoiler to a lot of these teams who think they have a chance of winning anything.
They got nothing to lose now.
Nothing to lose. And we never seen LSU in that predicament so early in the season.
Right.
So I think them being in Death Valley, it's going to be crazy, rocking. Auburn, who looks good against every other team, but if you get a team with a decent defense, LSU defense is still decent. It's still very good. So I think that they can play spoiler, and I got LSU winning this game. Now, if they win this game, talks not LSU, but talks among fans of LSU say, okay, we're like you said, we're good for the future, and that's the most important thing at this very moment for LSU. Just make sure that we got something to look for next year and the years to come. Now, if they go ahead and get smashed, I don't see that scenario happening. I can see Auburn winning, but it's still a close game. I'm talking another 20-16, 16-13 kind of game. I can see that. What's your take on LSU and Auburn?
LSU and Auburn, I am excited for this game.
Okay.
It is a rivalry game because everybody in Louisiana just hates Alabama. That's just how it is. So this is a rivalry game. Anybody in Alabama, this is a rivalry game. This is going to be a fun test. Auburn seems to have found their offense a little bit and found their way. That was their biggest problem versus when they did play the game versus Clemson. They just couldn't get anything going on offense at all. But they seem to have gotten into a groove and found some offense. They've been scoring some points. Like I said, they scored 44 last week against Ole Miss. But that team is in complete and total utter disarray and chaos after the whole Hugh Freeze deal this offseason. That team has been toasted from the beginning. So, they're looking kind of good. LSU's defense, it still looks good. Obviously, when you put your defense on the field enough, like they did versus Troy's going to score points. So the defense still looks good. The question now, basically this becomes a game of LSU's offense versus Auburn's offense because Auburn's defense is no slouch either. They held that good Clemson team to only 17 points.
Something like that, yeah.
So. Auburn's defense looks very good. So this is going to be the real test, I think. Florida was a good, bounce back win and a good way to get yourself started. But this right here, barring your barometer for the rest of the season, this is going to be the test that sets the tone for the rest of the season.
Even if LSU loses and it's still a competitive game, I think they kind of earn respect back over the last couple of weeks. Just make it competitive. Just act like you belong there, make it interesting. You go out there and get mollywopped by 2 or 3 touchdowns. If you lose by a field goal or a touchdown or make it dramatic towards the end, LSU
feel a lot better.
They can earn that respect back.
You feel a lot better.
But I'm smelling spoiler. I think
LSU,
LSU goes in at home, Death Valley, and the crowd is rocking. Got a couple of friends of ours going to the game, so they'll be pumped up to see that. And I think LSU takes it out. A sloppy game. I'm going with 13-12.
13-12.
13-12.
Right.
I don't know why. It's part of my head. 13-12, man.
I like it.
Very quickly, we talked Georgia Tech versus an undefeated Miami team. Miami is now 4-0. I don't really have big expectations for Miami for the season. They can win this game against Georgia Tech, but as an ACC championship kind of caliber, I don't see it happening. They squeaked out a few victories already this year, barely, being at home. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that Miami is being recognized again because we all know 10, 12 years ago they were the powerhouse of college football. So it's nice to hear them at least undefeated so far. They might be 5-0. I don't know, but they had a game.
They're 4-0, but they had a game. The Florida State game rescheduled.
There you go. Yeah. That's gonna Miami being 11th ranked right now.
Yes. On the outside looking in.
It's only because they're undefeated right now. They get their first loss, they'll be in the 20s somewhere. But I haven't beaten Georgia Tech. But after that, once you start facing real competition in the ACC,
I think they can pull out this game versus Georgia Tech. I think Miami is on line to be the biggest spoiler to Clemson's return party of the ACC championship. They look like. I mean, the way Florida State has been playing with when you lose a quarterback like caliber. That, and that sets you back a long ways.
Right.
So their ability to play with that Clemson team is very hindered now. Virginia Tech was going to be Virginia Tech ended up becoming next in line. That was no contest. So now, you fall down to Miami, and they look pretty good. They seem to match up pretty well. They play decent enough defense. They have, a couple of big scoring plays here and there, something they can pull out. Mm-hmm. So they can gel, they can get this win over Georgia Tech and gel this together. Like you were just saying earlier, they are putting themselves on the track to play spoiler.
There you go, yeah.
And that's really what makes this particular game important for this week and interesting for this week is, we need to see them keep moving on.
Gives us something to talk about.
Otherwise, when you say ACC, you just say Clemson, and that's all you need to talk about. You can just move on to wherever else you want to go.
Like I said, it takes one team, any given Saturday to beat this Clemson team. I only see Clemson losing one game in the regular season. I don't see them anywhere else losing anything else. But one game, anything can happen on one game. Like you said, they do play Miami. I can see that happening. Miami could be close. Virginia Tech was the closest, but then once I saw them get shellacked, I'm like, okay, this Clemson team is just on a whole nother level. So I'm very interested to see Georgia Tech and how Miami responds to being undefeated against the Georgia Tech triple threat option, which is always going to keep you in a game, especially against. I've seen these games go close the last 4 or 5 years, Miami versus Georgia Tech. So expect another close one. Georgia Tech is no slouch in the ACC. Well, that'll do it for us. Let's go ahead and give us our top 4 like we always do before we break it down. So, B-Dub, go ahead with your top 4. Is the playoff started right now? Who is your top 4 seeds?
Playoffs started today right now. Alabama is still in at number 1. Clemson's still in at number 2. OU obviously falling out because they lost to Iowa State. So I'm going to put Penn State up in that number 3 spot, give a little bit of respect to the former Big Ten champions from last year, defending Big Ten champions from last year. And my boys, the University of Georgia, in there at number 4.
All right.
Because I just don't see a scenario where anybody else is better than them right now. They're playing an amazing brand of football at this particular point in the season.
If I had to go, look, I apologize to every single person watching this for me and my Michigan shenanigans for the whole entire, for the first 5, 6 weeks. It's finally over with. I told you guys I'm not having my top 4 or let alone my top 10. So that being said, at number 4, I'm going to go with Georgia, and I had Penn State at 3. Now, I did argue that earlier, but I'm going to give you my reasons why in just a minute. I have Alabama at number 2, and I have Clemson at number 1. Now, I'm going actually with my head this time. No more gut feeling stuff. Actually going with my head. Here's why. I think Georgia is better than Penn State.
Okay.
I give Georgia better than Penn State. But I think the voters will not allow Alabama number 2 versus a Georgia number 3 right after the SEC championship game if they do make it to the area. So they won't allow back-to-back same team playing back-to-back weeks. It's not going to happen. So if they go with the voting and it stays the same, the top 4 teams, and I got Washington at a strong 5. Strong 5. Anything can happen. Any slip up between Penn State or Georgia, Washington sneaking right up in there. But so Georgia at 4. I have who had 3? Penn State at 3, Bama at 2, Clemson at 1, and they have Bama at 2, Georgia at 4, just because you don't want to see them playing each other in the first round. If you're gonna see it, have them playing the championship round to where it gets it a couple weeks from that SEC championship they had. That's the reason why I have it that top 4 right there. But I still think Georgia is a better team than Penn State as of right now, the eye test. So that's our top 4, man. And anything else you got to say, brother?
No, I think that about covers it for this week.
That covers it for this week, man. We had a blast talking to you guys, man. So like, comment, subscribe to Uneducated Network, to where you can see my show, Uneducated Sports Talk, and many other shows as well. Hashtag Team Brian, hashtag Team Carlos. Hit us up. Who you got, Texas or Oklahoma? Let us know. As always, sports fans, you know what it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.